So if you were looking to grow your social media presence online, whether it's a personal brand or whether you're looking to acquire customers online, this video is going to be for you. Because first of all, we're going to be talking about a winning strategy that I think is probably the most underutilized strategy. It's probably the easiest way to grow online right now with the least amount of time. And then of course, we're going to be talking about the 3-part system to automate this entire thing using n8n. And of course, all of these blueprints are going to be 100% free down below. Let's get into this. We're first going to talk about the strategy, and then we're going to be talking about how we can automate this, and we're going to be going into the exact nitty-gritty details of the n8n systems. Let's dive into this. First of all, you'll see that my account is pretty new. It's only like 5,600 followers, 81,000 impressions in the last 7 days. And all I'm doing is these picture posts right here. And so if we take a look at some of these, we can see 1,200 impressions, and this was posted 4 hours ago, 7,000 impressions yesterday, 6,600 the day before, 5,600, and then some of them do better than others at around 30,000 impressions. Then it can honestly get up to like 50,000 plus, just depending on the post. So let's get into this right now. The first part of this system is solving probably the biggest problem for most content creators, which is finding high quality ideas. It's really hard to always come up with new ideas to talk about every single day. And so what this first part of the workflow is doing is we're actually breaking the same process into 2 workflows. The first is that every given time interval, this for instance is set every Friday at 9 a.m. for me, we're going to run an Appify web scraper. Now what Appify does is it allows you to find high quality content ideas on your favorite platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and everything else. And so when we go ahead and scrape that, sometimes it takes a bit of time, could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. I'm just separating these into 2 particular workflows, but when the results come in, it's going to start the second workflow here. We're going to grab all of the ideas. We're going to filter out through anything that we feel is not high quality. So for instance, maybe if a video only has 2 views on it, maybe we don't even want to take a look at it. And then we're going to use AI to do a bit more filtering just to make sure for example, the video is in English or whatever the case may be. And then we're going to dump that into this Google spreadsheet in real time. And we'll actually see these ideas flooding in a matter of a couple seconds here. And so that's the first 2 parts of this particular content management system, is actually finding high quality ideas that we can draw inspiration from and then duplicate for ourselves. And so the second part of this system is we're going to take the ideas that just came in, okay, and we're going to click this generate button here. I'm actually going to turn on this particular workflow just so you can see it in real time, but we're going to click generate here. And what this is going to do is it's going to signal to the second workflow that we need to take particular actions. And what those actions are, first of all, is that we're going to generate high quality captions for that particular post. So what I mean by that is I want to generate a caption for LinkedIn and X and Instagram and TikTok, because this is a lot of manual labor that could be automated using a workflow like this. And so that's exactly what we're doing in the first part here. Now, I'm just going to skip over Notion and go to Google Drive here for a second here. Now, with these posts, you'll see that they're image posts. So we actually need to upload an image as well. And so how I've structured this is that I would take like a workflow like this, maybe take a screenshot, for example, of this particular post. And then because we're going to generate a Google Drive URL, I guess it hasn't actually been generated yet, we'd post the picture in there that we could use to essentially publish on places like LinkedIn. And the last section here is this Notion node here, which is essentially what we're doing is we're generating the blueprint that we're going to deliver to people. So this is kind of more or less what the blueprint is that I'm sending over. So in these particular posts, I might say something like, for instance, hey, here's a system I built, here's what it does. And if you want it, just comment down below and connect with me and I'll send it over. And when I mean send it over, I mean a blueprint like this that gives them the exact blueprint, a video walking through how to do it, and everything else as well. This video is not required. You could just give text right up as well if you want to make your life a lot simpler. I just do this because I already have the videos available on my YouTube channel. And so that's essentially it. It's going to publish all of this kind of stuff inside this Google spreadsheet here. And when we're happy with the particular idea, what we can do is of course go ahead and publish it online. Now the first thing is I just actually want to upload that image here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this as an example. I'm going to take a picture of this image one more time, or screenshot, and then I'm going to upload it into this Google Drive folder. Now, once it's inside this Google Drive folder, we're good to go. I can just publish this. So I'm going to run this workflow one more time and click post, which it's now going to go down the second path here, which is going to grab that image. Okay. And then it's going to use a software tool called Blotato to automatically post to all the channels that I want to post to. It could be TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, whatever the case may be. And so that in a nutshell is exactly how a system like this works. Let's actually take a look at this particular post here. So we can see, and you'll notice it's not kind of the best because I just put a random picture with a particular caption here, but that in a nutshell is how a system like this could work. You could automate the whole process of doing this, and then you could get really good results as well, like the ones that I'm seeing here, because essentially these are the same types of posts that are landing me up to, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 impressions every single post. So let's actually move into the nitty-gritty details now so that you can take the free blueprints in the description down below and then start building this out for yourself, tweaking it, optimizing it for your own use cases. So again, we have 3 separate workflows that we're going to be building this out with. The first one is going to be scraping the ideas. The second one is going to be receiving those ideas and pushing that into a Google spreadsheet like this. And then the third workflow is going to be both generating the captions for all these posts on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, TikTok, and also publishing them to all of our platforms like LinkedIn, X, Twitter, TikTok, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, sweet. So let's dive into this. Now, number 1 is that we actually need to find these ideas online. And so we have a scheduler here, and what this is doing is running once every single week on Friday at 9 a.m. and you can define whatever time interval, maybe it's every single day, we're going to run this actor. And so what this actor is doing is we're scraping YouTube for high quality content. Now, moving over to Appify here, this is 100% free to get started with. So what you'll want to do is go over to the site appify.com and sign up for a free account. And once inside, you will get $5 of free credits. Now, inside the Appify store, if we type in YouTube here, we have lots of different scrapers that are already pre-built. There's no coding required. We're going to choose the first one here. And inside, you'll see that you get $5 for it's 1,000 video scraping. Scraping 1,000 videos on YouTube would cost $5, which is included every single month for free. Now, the first thing is that you'll need to click save here. And the reason why you need to click save there is because inside this workflow, you're not going to see the list you're not going to see that listed in your actors until you click save. Then it will appear here. And the next thing that we have to do is generate this input JSON, and then we're done for the first workflow. So inside Appify, what we want to do is, you'll see it says manual and JSON. We need to copy this JSON data. Now, before we copy it, we just need to define what it is that we're scraping. So for instance, I like scraping keywords like AI and automation, n8n, make.com, AI automation agency, all of that kind of stuff. These are the kind of ideas I'm looking to draw inspiration from. Okay. And so once you've defined your search terms, we're good to go. Now you have this max video per search term, maximum videos per search term. I just put 10, but I think I changed this inside Appify. We can always change this later on. We're going to click JSON, copy all of this, and then paste it right in here. So if this is there, we're just going to paste it in, and then we can define or change however we want this JSON. So maybe instead of max results being only 10 videos we're scraping, maybe we want 100, maybe we want 1,000, or so on and so forth. I'm just going to put 10, especially for testing purposes. It's better to put a lower number. Now, the one last thing I want to point out here is that you have this wait for finish. If you put in a large number, it's going to default to 60 seconds automatically, and this is calculated in 60 seconds. The reason for that is because it will only wait 60 seconds to grab the information, which is problematic because if you're scraping a ton of information, it might take more than 60 seconds, which means that if you were to continue in one given workflow here, you're going to have an error because it's going to time out, which is why we split this into 2 workflows in the first place. So one workflow is just to scrape the information. The second workflow is to wait however long it takes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and it's going to grab the run, and then it's going to process the data and send that into a Google spreadsheet here. So with this trigger, what we are doing is we're going to wait for that particular web scraper to finish running. running. It's the same one we generated results from before. And we're going to select the event type as any. Okay, it could be aborted, failed, succeeded, timed out. If you want this to only be when it succeeds, you can select succeeds here as well. Now, just keep in mind that for Appify, and I should have covered this a couple seconds ago, if you guys want to add this in, you need to, first of all, download the package. So inside Appify, you'll notice that this is not developed by the n8n team, it's developed by Appify. So you'll just want to make sure you download this, it's installed, then you'll have access to everything here. Okay, and if you don't see that, you'll need to update your instance of n8n to be able to receive Appify inside n8n and start using it immediately. Cool. And then you can just log in by like creating your credential and then connecting to your account and you're good to go. Sweet. Okay, cool. Next thing here is we're going to get dataset items. Now, this is kind of strange to me because in Appify, what they do is they separate the run from the actual results you get. So you run the actor one time to web scrape, let's say YouTube for results, but you only get the 24 web scraping results once you get the data set items here. And so I don't know kind of why they do that, but they just happen to run it that way. None of this information is relevant. The only thing that you truly care about is the data set items over here. And so how we grab this is through putting in the default data set ID. This will get all of the web scraping results. So if we scrape 24 YouTube videos, this is where we will get those 24 YouTube videos. Now, just be careful. There's a lot of IDs here everywhere. And what we specifically want to get is the default dataset ID, which is this one right here. We can drag this over to this field, and this will allow us to generate or find all of these different YouTube videos that we've officially scraped here. Now, the rest of this process is just filtering out low quality videos that we wouldn't be interested in drawing inspiration from and only posting the high quality videos inside this Google spreadsheet. So the first thing is we have this filter. You can define this however you want, but for me, what I said is that every video has to have at least 2,000 views. If it doesn't, let's say it has 1 view or 2 views, I'm not interested in even looking at it. The next step is this loop function here. So what we're doing is we're going through each one of those 24 YouTube videos one at a time. The reason we're doing it that way is because we want to make sure we don't hit any errors running this workflow. These applications here have limits. You can only request or do things in them a certain amount of times in a given time interval. For Google Sheets, you can only send 300 requests in 1 minute. So if you were to web scrape 400 things from Appify here and then send into Google Sheets at the same time, you'd run into an error and then you'd have to restart again. Same kind of deal with ChatGPT here, and that's why we're doing this loop. So we do it one at a time consecutively. We're gonna wait 5 seconds so that we also avoid any errors here so that it doesn't hit any limits in a certain amount of time. And then we're gonna go to ChatGPT. Now with ChatGPT, we have a 3-step process here where we have a system message, which is the instructions we're telling it what we want it to do, the user message, which we're passing in the inputs here, and the system message where we're passing or we're defining the output. So the system message, I'm not going to go too far into it, but we're saying you're an intelligent bot capable of taking social media ideas, normally from YouTube, and filtering out good ideas from bad ones. So we want to remove bad ideas. Then we're giving it the information on that particular video so it can define for itself what good and bad is. Okay, so we're saying, hey, here's the video count, here's the date published, today's date, likes, channel name, number of subscribers, all of this kind of stuff. And then what we're saying is define the output in JSON format using the following structure. Now this structure, you could always just go into ChatGPT, ask it to generate it for you, but essentially I'm just saying, hey, I want you to tell me if the language is English, if the intent is around the topics that I actually am interested in. So for instance here, if we go back, I'm interested in AI automation, n8n make.com, and so on and so forth. Now the problem is that there's a lot of different topics on automation. It could be manufacturing automation, car automation, hardware automation, and none of those are actually the same intent. So I just want to make sure when I'm finding ideas, it's actually around the topic that I'm interested in searching for. I want to make sure ChatGPT also thinks it's a viral idea, and the category is just personal for me. I just want to know what kind of topic it's about. Is it like a news article? Is it like a build, like we're building something on n8n like this video, and so on and so forth. And so from there, we have this if statement, which is going to filter out anything. Like for instance, it has to be in English. niche. It has to be around AI and automation or n8n. It can't be about hardware automation or manufacturing automation. And it also has to be deemed somewhat viral. Okay. And if it passes those criteria, then it is added into this Google spreadsheet, which takes us to the second part of this whole process, which is this workflow here, where we're going to do things like generate captions and post it on social media. So let's dive into this right now. Just before we do, I want to point out, if you guys want this kind of structure here, I would recommend having all of these checkboxes here have no value. So there's no true, there's no false. By default, these are all false. If you guys enter this in as true, okay, or false, if you don't delete this, so you can see it's by default false, I can delete this. If you don't do that, the results from the Appify web scraper, they're going to be loaded in at the bottom of the sheet after all of these checkboxes. So if you want it to be nice and organized, just make sure you remove the false there. Okay, let's move on to this next thing here, where essentially I'm going to run this in real time so that we can kind of take a look at this. I'll turn on this particular workflow down here, and then we will go ahead and run this. Okay, let's go ahead and let's run this. Now, the first thing is you'll notice when I check the box, well, it actually starts this particular workflow here, and it's doing a bunch of other stuff. Let's get into this. The first thing is we actually have to connect these two together. We need to turn Google Sheets into its own full-blown web application by sending data into n8n via a webhook here. And so how we do this, and it seems a bit complicated, but we have something called an app script. So inside our Google Sheet here, if we go to extensions and app script, what we have is this really scary but actually kind of simple looking this script here. I just say it's simple because all you have to do is copy it and then go into the app script and then paste it, and you're pretty much done. That is it. It's going to work outside of the box. The only thing that we need to change is this API key, and then it's going to work perfectly fine. So what we'll do is we'll go back to n8n. Inside the webhook, that's going to give you a URL here. We just need to copy this, okay? And once it's copied, then we can paste it back inside this app script in between those quotations here. If you remove the quotations, it's not going to work. And also keep in mind, this is a test URL. If you send this into production mode, you're going to want to remove the test URL by switching to production, copying this link and pasting it back in, or just deleting the dash test, and then it should work in production mode, okay? That is the first part. And then the second part of this app script is we need to actually generate a trigger, okay, down here. Now I'm actually going to open up a blank spreadsheet here just to show you the step-by-step play of implementing this, because if I do this in the same app script, it's not going to show you the same steps that you're actually going to go through yourself on for doing this the first time. So first thing is I'm just going to copy this whole spreadsheet or this whole script over, and I'm going to click save here. We're going to go down to triggers, okay? And we need to add a trigger. My face is unfortunately blocking this, but you have to hit that massive add trigger blue button at the bottom right corner, and we're going to select event type as on edit. There's a lot of different ways we can send data from this particular Google spreadsheet into this n8n workflow. It could be, for instance, when we edit something in the sheet, or when we open it, or when we change, or on submit, we want to choose on edit. We'll click save. Now, I have pop-ups disabled on my blocker, so it's not going to allow me to save for the first time here. We're going to get an error. You can see pop-up blocked, and it gives me this error. We just need to click save again, and it should be good the second time. We'll log in, and it's going to give us an error saying, hey, you're not a verified app developer, because I didn't verify myself as an app developer. Likely you're going to run into this too. I'm going to hit advanced down here, go to untitled project, and we're going to click allow, and we are good to go. Sweet. So now that we've set this up, we can now receive information from our Google spreadsheet inside n8n. Okay, now we're going to receive all of this data anytime we change anything for whatever reason. Okay, we can see all this data, including the column start, row start. For example, if we select this, column start, row start, all of this kind of stuff, we will get all the information we're looking for. The only problem with this is that right now, if we don't have a filter, anytime I do anything on this spreadsheet, it's going to automatically trigger that workflow and potentially generate a post and publish that post, which is not ideal. We only want to generate the posts when we click generate here and post it when we click post. And there's two things that go into this. First of all, we want to make sure that we only generate if we check off column I, okay? And we only post if we check off something in column J. We also only want to post something if in column J the value is true, and not if the value is false. And same thing with generate. So two things, we're checking the column and we're checking whether the value is true or false. Okay, so there's two filters we're going through. The first filter is going to make sure that the value, whatever we're changing, is true. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is we want to make sure that we don't accidentally trigger this workflow by hitting true over here, for instance, but we only want to trigger it if it's in these two columns. Now, column I believe is 9 if we count this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then column J is 10. So in this, we're only going to go down to create the content if it goes down column 9, and we're only going to create the post if it goes down column 10 over here. Okay. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use AI to generate these particular captions for X, Instagram, TikTok, and so on and so forth. So what's going on here? And I'm just going to breeze through this a bit fast. Very similarly, we have a system, user, and a system prompt. The system prompt is the instructions. The user prompt is the incoming information. And then the assistant is how we want to define the output of the data. So inside our system prompt here, we're just saying, hey, you're a marketing and sales copywriter that's going to be writing captions for TikTok, Instagram, X, and LinkedIn. Here are the rules that you need to follow. Just make sure, you kind of abide by all these. Make sure for example, the captions are tailored to their respective platforms. And then I give examples down here. The more examples you provide, the better off it's going to be at understanding your tone and how you want these structured and all that kind of stuff. Next thing is the system. We're just passing in, for instance, the actual idea and the description over here. Now the description is manually added. You could try and pull in the caption or description from these posts and paste that here, and that's totally fine. The only problem with that is that a lot of the times, like let's say you're scraping on YouTube, the actual description has nothing to do with what the video is actually about, and so it'll just give you a bunch of gibberish, and if you try and create a post on that, it's not going to turn out super well. So I just put this as a manual thing for now, where you can go through here, you can add in notes. So for example, I said you can now build an n8n AI agents that run your email inbox. Here's how it works. It sorts emails and so on and so forth. The point is not like this actual text, but I'm just giving you an example of what kind of like this blueprint would look like and how we could create a quick description so we can define more or less how these captions should look like when we go ahead and generate the particular captions inside our Google Sheet. Okay, so that's essentially it. We're just passing in title and description to get these captions over here. And then we're saying as the output, we want to generate captions for Instagram, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn all in one go. So we're going to take that and then we're going to generate a page on Notion. Now keep in mind with OpenAI, you will need to generate an API key. You can do this by going to platform.openai.com, hitting your settings button up top here. And then inside the settings, you're just going to go to API keys, generate an API key, and you're good to go. With Notion, what we're going to do is we're going to generate a blank page just like this that we can put the blueprints in. The reason why I'm saying this is because if we take something like LinkedIn, for example, one of the best strategies to actually getting views is having a call to action where we ask people to connect with us and then comment on posts. This is really important, and then we actually need to DM them with that particular blueprint. And so what we're going to DM them is something like a Notion page, which will contain the blueprint for them to go ahead and copy that and implement it themselves, just like you see in all my YouTube videos. This is one of the best ways to grow. It's just by offering free and valuable high quality content. And so that is what this Notion page is all about. Now, the next thing here is we're going to generate a Google Drive folder. Okay. And this Google Drive folder is just going to be added right in here. And this is where we can upload that particular image that we want to publish on LinkedIn. So if we're publishing this post with this picture, we need to actually go ahead and take the screenshot and add that in here. So for instance, if I was going to take a screenshot of this, maybe I'd want to go ahead, grab the screenshot, and then go into our Google spreadsheet over here, go into the actual folder, and then just drop that in over here. Looks like I actually missed my window of opportunity. I'm just going to do that one more time, paste it in here, and now we have the image to be able to generate these posts. That's it in a nutshell. The only last thing worth mentioning here is that yeah, we're going to add this into the Google spreadsheet here. Okay, we're going to add in things like the ID, the blueprint, the image. All of this information is just going to be added in. And with your Google Drive, I'll link up top and also in the description how to connect this in, because if you guys haven't done this yet, this is quite a process. I have a step-by-step guide walking through exactly how to do this. I just don't want to get into it in this video because that would derail the whole video. Same kind of thing with Notion over here. Essentially, in a nutshell, what you want to do is you want to come in and you want to open the docs here if you're going to connect this in. And I would just recommend coming along, following along this. This is more or less exactly how to do it. It'll take a couple seconds. You'll go to your dashboard over here. You'll create a new integration. You'll name this test or whatever, and you'll associate it with your own particular account. And the last thing you need to do here is just change this to without an email, and then you're good to go. Other than that, what you want to do is you want to just make sure that whatever the page is that you're putting these blueprints on, you want to make sure that you hit 3 dots up here. You want to connect, add in connections, and add the connection that you just created, which in this case would be that test. So I'd add this in here. Then I could essentially start creating pages from within it, just like this blueprint link right here. So that in a nutshell is that section. Now, the last thing is actually publishing this content on social media. So let's go ahead and let's execute this workflow. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run this particular workflow. I'm going to click publish here, and this is going to take that post. It's going to run it down this next path here and publish it over to our social media accounts. In this case, it's Twitter. So again, same kind of deal. We're receiving the information. We're filtering to make sure that we actually, in fact, did want to generate the post. This is, first of all, true over here. It's in column J. All of that looks good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to search for the image. How we search for the image in this particular workflow is anytime we check a box and we start this workflow, we actually get access to all of the information on that row. And part of that row is the Google Drive file or folder that we place the image in, and the ID of that folder. So we're going to grab the ID of the folder in this row, and we're going to search that particular ID here, and we're going to try and find all the files in it. So this will actually give us the ID of the file within that folder. So that's kind of meta. Let's just break this down. If we click this link over here, we open this up, we have this particular image in here. And so what we're doing is we're searching this folder, we find this image here, and then we're just grabbing the particular ID of that image right here, okay? And so what we're gonna do from there is we're gonna generate a share link. By default, inside Google Drive, nothing's set to shared. It's only available to you for privacy and protection. So what we're doing here is we're allowing anyone to view this. This is important because when you go to upload this on social media, if it's only accessible to you, the platforms aren't gonna be able to publish it on your behalf, okay? And so what we're doing is we're setting the link to share over here. We're grabbing that ID of the link, okay? We're making it a reader for anyone, so anyone can download it, use it, whatever the case is. Cool. Lastly, we're going to publish this on social media. We're using a platform called Blotato to do this, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is approximately, I think, like $30 or $40 a month. You can do this for free using make.com, and I will link the free version down below if you guys want to use this, because not everyone's going to want to spend $40. But essentially, at this point in time, you just fire off something to make.com with another workflow to build this whole thing out for free. But I'm just going to assume that you want to stick inside n8n. We're going to do this with Blotato. The next step would be to sign up for an account. It's going to cost $30. You can start a free trial. However, to actually do this workflow, you will need to pay for it. Now, there's 2 things that we actually need in order to get this set up and ready to rock and roll. The first is we need to connect our accounts down here. Let's say we connect in Twitter. What we can do is get access to our account ID in here, and we'll circle back to this in a second. And then we have access to API keys, and we're going to create that and make sure we have access to that in a second here too. So that's those are the 2 important things. Now, I'm just going to breeze over these HTTP requests just because I don't want to get bogged down in the nitty-gritty detail, but essentially an HTTP request is the same, like all of these are HTTP requests. The only difference is that these are built out by the n8n developers, and the n8n team hasn't developed something for Blotato, so we actually have to go in and build this whole like integration ourselves manually. So I got this from their API documentation. You could browse through that and find this, but I just made this as quickly as possible. You can download the free blueprints below. We need to make a post request. Post is creating something on another server, so we're creating a post, or we're creating an image. In this case, we're uploading or creating an image in Blotato. We're sending it to this URL. This is the URL you use to create media inside Blotato, and then we're having some boilerplate stuff here. We need to always put have headers with the name content-type application.json. I've never made an HTTP request without this. And then we need to add in Blotato-API-key and add in our API key. How we get that is by going to settings, API key, copy that key, and paste it in here. We're good to go. Last thing is just sending a body. We're sending additional information to be processed. Specifically, what we're doing is we're sending the URL of the image. So again, inside our particular Google Sheet here, we have this Google Drive with the image here. We're taking that image and we're going to upload it. This is the specific format that it needs to be. We're essentially saying, hey, we're going to export this as a download. Here's the ID of the image that we're going to download, okay, and upload to Blotato. Once we do that, it will upload this to our particular account. And then lastly, we're going to publish on all of our social media platforms. You can do this on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of the platforms you want to do it on. You're going to be easily able to do this. I'm just going to give one example, which is Twitter here. We're going to post, method is post, which is create a post. We're going to send it to this endpoint, which is essentially saying we're posting on a social media platform. Again, with the headers, we're going to include this content-type is application JSON. This is boilerplate. I've never, again, yeah, it's always the case. And then we're going to include the API key, which is the same thing we did before. And then lastly, this is just kind of boilerplate for Blotato. We need a couple things here. Account ID 4612 is mine. How you get this is you go to account, you go down to this. Once you've connected something in, you can copy your account ID, link it up top here, and then you're good to go. Then we just want to make sure we pass in the text that we actually want to create the post about and the URL, the image, right? So for posting on something like LinkedIn, we need to give it, of course, the text over here and the image. That's exactly what we're doing. We're grabbing this text, okay, from this particular Google spreadsheet. We have all of the captions here. So that's where we're getting it from. And you'll notice that there's this JSON.stringify here. What this is doing is it's changing the format of this text so that it conforms with like API or HTTP requests. There's a certain way you need to send data. You can't have like line breaks in here, for example. And so it's just making this friendly by making sure that we can essentially format the text properly to send it off. When we publish the post, it doesn't change anything. It's going to be published just as you'd expect. The only difference is that it's going to conform to the standards of JSON data. So this is just something that's required. You notice there's no quotation marks on either side because when you stringify it, and this is for advanced users, if you're a beginner, you don't have to really go into much detail here, but essentially JSON stringify will automatically place this into text. And so if you have quotes here, you're going to double quote it, which is not good. You do not want that. So you can just go ahead and remove that. Lastly, we're going to put in the media URL here, and then that's going to be the image that we just uploaded in the previous node to Blotato over here. Lastly, all we need to do is specify that we're pasting it to Twitter with the target type and platform, just Twitter in both boxes, and then it's going to be published. If we take a look at my profile over here and refresh the page, we can see that that post has been sent over there, and that is how you can easily automate this whole process. You can do this for X, you can do this for LinkedIn or whatever other platform that you want. And here's kind of, again, just the results that I got. Some of these, and again, this was posted a couple hours ago, 1,200, 7,000, we have 6,000, 5,000, 26,000. Yeah, these can go absolutely viral, and they're very quick to make. So thanks guys so much for watching. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It tells me that you like the content and I did a good job, so I'd appreciate that a lot. And if you guys are looking to learn more about AI and automation, I'd highly recommend taking a look at my school community over here. There's 3 benefits to joining. Number 1 is I want to teach you these skills so that you can actually save time, earn money in your own life. And then number 2 is that if you're looking to sell AI automation services, I teach you how you can find, close, and fulfill deals in the quickest time frame possible with the least amount of resistance. And lastly, if you already have a business, I want to teach you guys how you can automate your entire business. For me, I automated up to 80% of mine, scaled to 7 figures, and I'm going to give you the exact blueprints that worked for me. So thanks guys so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one.